if you've been consuming content and you've been on the internet, you're looking at social media, and you've been trying to figure out what business to start, you don't need to look any further. This is it. You can start a Skool community. Now, this is something we've been working on for a long time, and you're going to want to hear the whole thing because you're going to be able to win a lot of prizes and make a lot of money. The first of these prizes by participating in the Skool Games is flying out to Vegas with 10 other business owners who crushed the Skool Games and spending a full day here with me so we can take your business from where it is to wherever you want to go. We'll have leaderboards that will rank everyone in real time to see who is making the most money on the Skool platform. Now, the reason that starting a group on Skool is one of the easiest businesses, or if not the easiest business that you can start today, is a couple reasons. One is that most businesses require startup capital. This one doesn't. You can start for free. You can use free tools on the internet. All right, number one. Number two is that you don't need inventory, so you don't have to worry about logistics or supply chain or drop shipping or any of that kind of stuff. Number three is that you don't need to hire other people in order to make this business work. So if you're alone on your own, you're a solopreneur, you're just getting started, you can start making money on the internet using this without anything else. And for me, as somebody who's had a large audience of people who've been trying to figure out ways to make money, I spent the last 4 years looking for something that I actually believed was the easiest, highest likelihood opportunity for people to pursue, and this is it. Now, the biggest three questions that people come to me is, I don't know what to sell, I don't have an audience, and I'm not an expert. And the nice thing about Skool and the Skool Games is that you don't have to have any of these things. We actually solve all three. So Skool has been built, it took us 5 years to get here, so that we know you need no extra tools. It's not like you come in and they're like, okay, go sign up for this, this, and this. It's all here, and you can get it all for free to start with a 14-day free trial. All right, but on top of that, you're gonna have a community of other people who are also in this tournament with you. They're playing the Skool Games with you. They're also trying to win, and they're sharing in the Skool community how they're playing the game, just like I encourage you to as well. And so we're gonna be doing literally what we practice, because we're gonna be building this community and letting the community come up with the better and most tactical answers to show you how to do it for yourself. And then finally, the training we will also provide for you. And so when I think about changing someone's life, I want to change where they are, I give them a new community. I want to change what they're thinking about, so I give them training. And I want to make sure they have all the tools at their disposal to actually make it happen. Right? If I told you to build a website, but you didn't have a connection to the internet, really tough to do. Right? And so if we remove any constraints you have around tools, we put you in a community of people who are trying to do the same thing, and we give the education to do it, you can do it. You can win. Here's how to play the game. You create content across social media, and it's not just limited to these, but things like making Facebook posts, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, YouTube Longs, TikTok Longs. Hey, they're doing stuff. Anyways, you're making that stuff, you're getting eyeballs, you're getting traffic. And all we're gonna do is we're going to funnel those eyeballs, that traffic, those clicks into Skool. And Skool will be your community. This is gonna be the house where you make money. And on the outside of this, or the output of this whole system, is a dollar sign. More realistically, hopefully, a big ass dollar sign. And after talking to my community for a very long time, I found that one number continues to stick out, which is $10,000 per month. And so I want to set a goal for you, if you'll let me, which is that I want you to get to $10,000 a month. Now, that could be 50 people at $200 a month. That could be 1,000 people at $10 a month. It could be 20 people at $500 a month. There's a lot of ways to skin this cat. But you know what? You can do all of them through Skool. And this one picture should be the one that you burn into your brain, is this is how you do it. You post content, you siphon the traffic to Skool, Skool converts it and turns it into money. That's the game, and that's how you play. Now here's your Skool Games user manual. All right, so right up front, we have leaderboards. Leaderboards will rank you based on the amount of monthly recurring revenue that you're pushing through Skool. And here's the key point, is that every month when we have another Skool Games, it's about the growth, not about the total. And so if you don't win one month, you can still play again the next month and still try to win. Because guess what? You're gonna learn things over time, and something might just click month 2 that gets you to the next level to get on the leaderboard. Now, why do you want to be on the leaderboard? Well, besides bragging rights, which are obviously the #1 reason you'd want to be on the leaderboard, there's 2 main incentives. Number 1 is that if you're in the top 10 communities that grows the most in MRR over the period of a game, so usually the first of the month to the last day or 2 before the end of the month, The top 10 people fly out here together where we can share best practices and they can teach one another about what they're doing to grow their communities, and we can share the stuff that we're seeing from a platform-wide perspective. But for everybody else, if you get just 3 paying members into your Skool community, we'll unlock all the trainings that we get from that top 10 day. So it'll be just like you had one, and all you have to do is get 3 paying members. Get 3 people, get the first dollar across the bridge. It'll change the way you see business because you'll believe it's possible. On top of that, we're not gonna let you do this alone, right? You're not gonna have to make this up because we're gonna provide you training, and so will the community. Which leads me to my last point, and I'll get back to the second to last point, is that you wanna help other people out, and I'll explain why. So earlier on in my career, I joined masterminds and coaching groups and things like that, and I was usually the low man on the totem pole. I didn't know what I was doing, other people were making more money than me, and so what I did was, I was only good at one thing at the time. And so I just said, well, I'm gonna talk to every single person and try and help them with the one thing that I'm good at. And so I would go around and help every single person one-on-one as though they were a paying customer of mine and asked for nothing back. And what happened later on is that, one, I got voted member of the year for that group. But on top of that, when a problem came up, which it inevitably did, I had a Rolodex of people that owed me one. And I don't believe in being good-natured for the sake of doing tit for tat, but it is a side benefit that if you do help other people, they will help you out as well. Rule number 1 of the Skool Games is have fun. And I don't mean that in a hokey sense. Let me explain. So Tony Robbins interviewed a ton of billionaires in his book, Money Master the Game. And the reason he called it the game is that every one of them, to a fault, talked about money and business as a game. And so we saw that as a through line between all of the highest performers, is that they actually loved doing it. And so if you're going to succeed at whatever you're going to do, it can't suck, which is why I was so interested in Skool. And when I saw the amount of engagement and saw how many people were able to make money, especially ones who hadn't made money before, that's what got me so invested in doing this. Let me give you 2 easy ways that you can make this even more fun, besides participating. Number 1 is find a friend. All right, if you do stuff with a friend, it'll be more fun. Because even if you do shitty stuff with a friend, it's still more fun than doing shitty stuff alone, all right? Now, our hope here, obviously, is that it doesn't suck at all. And ideally, the second version of this is that you partner with somebody who has a complementary skill set. And so I'm not just saying this, this is literally what I'm doing and what we're doing at Skool. And so Sam, the founder of Skool, which many of you guys know, and if you don't, it's Sam, he loves building amazing products. He didn't want to make content all day. And so he's like, man, I wish there was somebody else who could manage the marketing side of this and who likes making content and likes teaching and all that stuff. And on the flip side, there's me who's like, man, building a product takes a lot of time and a lot of energy. I don't have that bandwidth. It would be awesome if I found a product that I actually believed in that I could then just introduce my audience to who have the very problem the product solves, which is many of them want to make money online, don't know where to start, and want a tool that can do all of those things. And Skool does that. And so I'm not just saying this, I'm practicing what I'm preaching here. And so make it fun. If it isn't fun, find a friend. And if you want to do it with somebody else, partner with them, provided they have a different skill set than you. So if you're like, man, I wish somebody, I don't want to build an audience, find someone who has one. If you're like, man, I wish I had more expertise, you can find someone who has it, or you can source it from your community. The possibilities are endless, and that is the point of Skool, is to make business fun. How to design your business. The first question you ask is, who is it for? Now, this is where a lot of people get stuck, and it's because they overcomplicate it. It doesn't have to be, it can be very easy. You want people who have a shared interest with you, they have the same goal as you, or they have the same problem to solve. And so an easy way to think about this is scratching your own itch. Because right now, if there's a problem that you're trying to solve, whether it's like, I want to learn how to day trade, or I want to learn how to flip houses, or I want to learn how to paint, or I want to learn how to play ping pong, all of these things are things that you might be inherently interested in. And so one of the easiest lenses and some of the biggest and most successful businesses of all time have been started by founders and entrepreneurs who are like, I suffered with this problem for a long time. I just want to solve the problem or find the solution. And the cool thing is that you don't have to be the expert. Now, if you already are the expert, you know how to do watercolor paint, you know how to paint, you know how to play ping pong, you know how to fix cars, you know how to day trade, whatever it is. Like, you can be the expert. But I think the majority of you will probably opt for something like this, which is crowdsourcing, which is finding other people who are simply interested in solving the same problem as you, and then using the community, leveraging your community to help solve the problem together. Now, they can go out, find the answers, bring them back to the community, and then that provides value to everyone else. But also, and this is a skeleton key of life for you to gain access to people you otherwise wouldn't, is that when you put a group together of 100, 500, 1,000, 5,000 people, you can then reach out to other people who are way above you in terms of status or reach or following and say, hey, I've got this community. I'd love to give you access to them if you'd be willing to make a 30-minute video with me or do a call with my community for Q&A. And people who, like, you will be able to punch way above your weight class because you can actually provide something to them, which is distribution of their message. And so you actually get a favor from the person who's doing the Q&A, and you are perceived as delivering value to your community, and so you get a win-win for everyone. So right off the bat, you probably know if you're an expert, and if you're not an expert, this is probably going to be the path for you. And Skool's been built to facilitate this model so that you no longer have a reason to not get started. The next question you have to ask is, do I want my community to be free, or do I want it to be paid? If you're just starting out, start for free. Get people in the community, find out what they like, start providing value to them, learn how to actually run a community. And then at any point, when you feel confident enough that you can provide value to an audience and that that audience in of itself is valuable, you can flip it to paid. And so the nice thing is that this is an irreversible decision. You can start here and then eventually move to paid when you feel confident. And if you're already confident that you can provide value to an audience, you can start at paid right up front. So now that you know who you're going to be solving problems for, people who have the same interests, problems, goals as you, you're scratching your own itch, you're figuring out whether you're going to go crowdsourced if you don't know what to do, expert if you already do, free if you're not as confident, paid if you already are. So the next question is, what are you actually going to put inside? And so there's three big buckets of stuff. You've got access, which is the people in the community gaining access to you. So believe it or not, especially if you're new to this, if there's 100 people who all want time with you, your time becomes pretty scarce really quickly. And so access to you becomes valuable in and of itself. And there's lots of ways to do this. And I'll give you some examples in a second. The second thing is content itself, because this is a closed area. So you can put content that you don't put public, or that you can make exclusive. All of these things are about being exclusive to the community. The third is events. Now, events can be digital, they can be in person, so you can do a wide variety of types of events. It can be with lots of people, it can be with very small people. It could be going on a hike, or it could be doing a big digital conference. Any of these things fit within what you could put inside. And so the idea is that you want to create a schedule or a cadence around when you're going to be providing these things. And so, for example, for access, it might be a Q&A call with you, but it might also just be giving access to people that your community doesn't otherwise have access to. And so if I were fixing cars as my group, because that was what I was into, then I would find a master mechanic or something like that, or who worked on this really type of historic car, ask them to do a Q&A with my community. Now, if one of my community members just tried to reach out to that guy, he probably wouldn't respond. But if I've got 2,000 other mechanics or people who are interested in cars, he probably would. And so they would gain access to people they otherwise wouldn't. With the content, you do things that you or the community create that provides value. Now, everything I just listed is not an exclusive list of things you can do. You can do anything that you can possibly imagine that provides value to your audience. And so, two easy questions to think about this is, if you're scratching your own itch, what do you think is epic? If you're like, man, it'd be so epic if this happened, that's a great place to start for value you can provide to your community. The other way to do this is just ask them, hey guys, what do you think would be cool? And remember, you now have the collective asking power of the whole community, and you are their champion to go ask on their behalf. And so don't take that responsibility lightly, and you'll be amazed at what doors can open. Now, what actually provides value? Because people throw this word around a lot. So what makes a community valuable? I like to go back to the value equation, which is from my book, $100 Million Offers. There's the outcome or the problem that you're solving. So as long as you're all, this is why the who is so important, so that we're actually making sure we're solving the same problem for all these people. But assuming this is aligned, which it should be at this point, the other three variables are going to determine how valuable your group is, which is the solutions and content you make. Does it make whatever problem you're solving lower risk than if they didn't have that? So if you explain how to not blow up your car, that would lower the risk of doing this thing. Or how to not break the tool that you used, that would lower the risk of whatever the implementation was. If you can help them do it faster, they will like you more. If it normally takes a year and you can show them a way to do whatever it is in 3 months, that's valuable. And if you can do it in a way that doesn't make them stop doing the stuff that they like doing or start doing stuff they hate doing, the effort and sacrifice, then they'll like you more. You'll be providing value. And so whenever you're thinking about the content or the access or the events, this should always be the underlying goal. How can I make it less risky for my audience? How can I make it faster? And how can I make it easier? So if you choose to start for free, one of the big things I want to emphasize is that you can start here and then eventually switch to paid when you have more confidence. And that could be in month 2 or month 3 or month 6, because you should see this as you're building an audience, and that audience is the most valuable asset you have and that you will have over time. And so like, don't worry about this month, next month, the month after. It's about building that asset. And if it takes a little bit of time, welcome to business. But once you have that asset, you can pretty much get yourself set up financially for the rest of your life. And so I'm all about doing things fast, but I'm more about doing them right. And so you can start free and in a couple months switch to paid. And when you do switch to paid, have so much more momentum that you can skyrocket to the top and win. Because if you start your community that's paid with 1,000 members already in it, for example, and then you have paid people who come in later, you already have this super lively community that there's valuable people, there's great contributors. It's kind of like showing up to an empty party versus showing up to a party that's already rolling. Early on in the night at the club, they let people in for free, and then at past a certain point, once there's enough people, they start switching and paying for tickets to buy in. Right? Same idea, just done digitally. And so you can do it either way, but don't be ashamed or don't be worried about starting for free because you're like, when am I going to go to paid? You're actually going to set yourself up for a really solid paid community if you start free first. So don't worry about it if you're starting here. All good communities start small. And one of the big misconceptions around starting a community or a group is that you need to have zillions of fans or zillions of followers in order to make it valuable. And honestly, it's actually couldn't be further from the truth. The massive communities have some of the hardest times maintaining value because there's so much chaos going on inside of it. Whereas the small communities, we've actually found from the stats from the platform that all you need is 10 true regulars. Is 10 people who contribute regularly to a group. One of the most valuable groups that I was ever a part of was my powerlifting group, where we had 13 guys, and we would all post in there every day of like our lifting videos of what our workout was, what we were struggling with, and then other people would be like, hey, this is what I did to break out, you know, the lockout on my bench. And it was one of the groups that I looked forward to seeing the post every single day, and I would have paid if the platform I had been on at the time actually allowed me to do that. And so you don't need a lot of people to make this thing really valuable. And so if you're like, okay, if this is all I need, then where do I start? Start with 3, all right? And start with 3 people because 3 is on the way to 10. And if you get 3 paying members, if that's what you choose to do as you're starting, that also unlocks the free training that comes along with the top 10 visit winners. And so when the top 10 people fly out here, we're going to be recording the whole day. And if you just get 3 paying members, you'll have access to that entire day as though you would want it to when you were here with us. All right? And so this is what it takes to start. This is what it takes all it takes to make a valuable community. And I want to show a little bit of what's possible. So Kevin Kelly wrote a famous book called 1,000 True Fans. And basically what he postulated was, people think they need millions of people. People think they need to become Mr. Beast or Logan Paul or whatever in order to have a big enough fan base to make money. And it couldn't be further from the truth. You only need 1,000 people. And with 1,000 people, when you compare it to 8 billion, you can be so specific about the things you're interested in. If you're a vegan mom powerlifter who loves cats, there's another 1,000 vegan mom powerlifters who love cats. And so the cool thing is that you can have cross-pollination of different interests that narrow the audience, but also make that audience's affinity with you so much higher. So let me give you an example. So if we have Joe Rogan Experience here, J-R-E, in the middle, all right? Now, he really likes aliens, okay? So people who like aliens might like Joe Rogan. He also likes fitness. So people who like fitness also like Joe Rogan. He also likes conspiracy, right? Or whatever, conspiracy theories or whatever you want to call that there. He likes fighting and he likes comedy. Now, If you were to say, hey, I want to start a group of aliens, comedy, fighting, conspiracy, and fitness, people will probably tell you you're absolutely insane. But the thing is that there's tons of people in Joe's audience that only like one of these topics. If you like 2 of these topics, you'll like Joe even more. If you like all of them, you'll become a hardcore Joe Rogan fan. And so whatever you are, you probably have multiple interests. You can create communities around multiple interests that you share, and people who share those interests with you will also join and like you even more. And so you might be wondering, okay, well then where do I start? Well, you probably have friends. You have people who already follow you on Facebook, who are friends with you or follow you on Instagram. You can pull out your phone and realize that you have 400 people or 800 people that you know. Just text them and invite them to your community. Like, if you invite 800 people to your community, you invite everyone in your contact list to your community, I promise you'll get 3. You'll probably get more than 10 just from doing that one thing. And so right now, if you don't do that, realize that it's not because you don't know how, it's because you're afraid. And you don't need to be, because all we're doing is inviting people to a party. And if they don't show up, you can invite them to the next one. Let's talk about making money, monetizing your group. So there's 4 kind of life paths of someone who enters Skool and starts a Skool community. The first and easiest one is that you can just keep your community free forever. And that's totally fine. It's a better platform, it's more engaging, you guarantee the reach of all your posts, people can interact with each other, you have leaderboards, you can unlock content, making sure they actually share it and refer people back to you. There's tons of amazing features that make Skool superior to any other platform for just providing value. At the next level, you might start with this and then switch to paid over time. Now, to be clear, you can't start everyone for free and then switch to paid and then all of them are getting billed. That would be unethical. And so if you switch to paid, everyone who's free will be grandfathered in at free. Now, here's a little pro tip for you. If you know that you're going to eventually go to paid, tell people when you're inviting them that this group will be paid in the future. And so they'll have a stronger incentive to join now. It puts urgency around why, like the big reason why they should join, because it's going to be paid eventually. All right. And you can tell them you're going to keep that price forever as long as you stay in. Right. And so it gives them an incentive to stay and engage as well. So free, and then you switch to paid. Now, after that point, anyone who joins now joins the party late after the party's already booming, and then you charge ticket for entry. Right? And that's recurring monthly. So that's option 2. Option 3 is that you keep your free community, right? You keep the same free community, and then you just start a second community where people can choose to join at a price of some sort. And you might get additional features, additional access, additional events, additional content, whatever that comes in this community that isn't here. And honestly, the best way to get people to want to join this one is to make this one awesome. The 4th path, and I just put it here for obviousness, is that you can just start a paid community, which is totally fine. But I like to show all of the paths because people are going to be starting at different points with different skill sets and different assets. Now, what are you going to price your community at? So just to give you some data, the majority of groups on Skool right now are between $19 and $299 a month. And that's a big range. And part of that comes down to what the group is about. If you're teaching digital marketing tactics to agency owners doing $20,000 a month or more, then you can probably charge a lot more because the value of the content you are delivering relative to how much they're going to make, there's a huge discrepancy, so you can charge more for it. On the flip side, if you're showing people how to water paint for kids, there's probably going to be a lower amount of budget that people are willing to spend on their kids, and even for the information relative to what's available online for free. And so that is kind of how you're going to dictate where on this range you go. Now again, you can go outside of this range. This is just to give you an idea of where most people are. You can obviously go above, you can even go below. Now, here's my recommendation for thinking through this, is what's your goal? Now, I'm going to use $10,000 a month because that's the most common goal that we get when people say they're coming in of what they want to make. All right, so if I were to reverse engineer this $10,000 a month goal, I could either have 10 people at $9.99 per month, I could have 100 people at $99 a month, or I could have 1,000 people at $9.99 a month. Any of these would still accomplish the goal. The difference between these prices is going to be relative to who I'm serving and the value that I'm delivering and or the problem that we're solving. And so once you know the price that you're going to charge and you know what your goal is, all you have to do is reverse engineer the N, which is the number of units that you have to sell. And when I say sell, get people to join your community in order to accomplish your goal. If you want to take this a step further, you can even think about this from a daily goal perspective, which is how I like to do it. So if I know that I want to get to 100, then I know I have to add 3 people a day. And that's just to get to 100 a month. But if I did 100 in a year, then I can divide that by 12 and be like, okay, well, I need to do, well, shit, I don't know what the math is there. But not nearly as many per month. So I might have to just shoot for 1 every other day, and I'll still be able to get there, or even higher. All right, and so that's the thinking that I would like you to approach this with is, this is where most people are. You don't have to be there. For you, think about what goal you have, and then reverse engineer the end that you need to get into your community to hit your goal. And then guess what? You can increase your goal. So now you want to grow your group. So let me introduce you to the simplest business model in the entire world. Step 1, you get traffic. Step 2, you send traffic to your About page. Step 3, you have a community that people like and tell their friends about. And then you make money. That's the business. Now, we've already talked about what to put inside of your community in the earlier videos. And so this video, I'm going to talk about traffic and the About page. And one of the beautiful things about this model and Skool in general is that you don't need any external plugins, tools, resources. It's all here, and it's built to work seamlessly together. All right, so let's start with traffic. There are 6 traffic sources that you can use to push to your About page, which leads to your Skool community. The first is warm outreach. That's where you let people you already know about the thing you have, which is your community. So you go into your phone, you look at your contacts, you look at all the people you've emailed your entire life, you go to every one of your social profiles, look at the people who follow you or who are friends with you or subscribe or whatever metric the platform uses, and then you directly message them and say, hey, I've got this thing, you should come check it out, it's awesome, all right? The next degree of that is to do the same thing but cold outreach. So this is where you reach out to people who don't already know you. So you can still do it on all these platforms, but you either get the lists by buying those lists or using software that scrapes them, or while you're on social media, you can see people are interested in the same things as you, and you can directly message them. So even though they don't know you, they share the same interests as you, and then they might be interested in your group. The third place you can go is you can run paid ads. So you can run paid ads on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, on any platform that accepts money in exchange for eyeballs or earballs. And you pay for those ads, and then they send you traffic to your About page. The fourth way is content. This is one that a lot of you guys are going to do as well, which is you make content on all those platforms for free, and then the call to action that you have in your profile bio or in the copy that you include in the post references more like this in my community, or check out my Skool group here. And then people will look, and when they're interested, and they will convert on the About page. The fifth way is through influencers. And so for some of you guys who don't like making content or don't like doing the marketing, one of the easiest and fastest ways to grow a group is to go where the people already are. And so there's many influencers, believe it or not, that have hundreds of thousands of followers and make very little money. And so what you can do is present them an opportunity to take their community and put it in one place where they can provide even more value to them. And so that partnership takes the best of both worlds. You basically come with the product, which is using all of Skool's features and value, and present it to the influencer and say, hey, I'll take a percentage and then you get the rest. And for an influencer, if they're currently making $500 a month with their 100,000 people who follow them on Instagram, and you could say, hey, I think we could potentially make $10,000 a month together. If you give me a percentage, you can get the majority, or I'll get the majority, you get a minority. That's what negotiation is. But, and I'll tell you this, if you do it once, the next one you do, you can take a bigger percentage because you'll have evidence that you've done it. And so I'd say if you are going to pursue this strategy of having influencers and saying, hey, I'll make a community for you and I'll help run it and all that stuff, start low, and then over time you can increase the percentage that you make. But the big advantage is you don't have to spend a lot of time to go make that content to get that attention and that audience together. They've already got it. You're just going to tell them to point it to the About page. And big secret here, this is what I'm doing with Skool. Number 6 is referrals, which is you want to make sure that the community is awesome. And the best way, like fun fact for you guys, is that my books sell zillions of copies. We sell 3,000 plus copies a day, and I don't directly market, I don't run any ads, I don't do warm outreach. Like, it's just people telling their friends that the book is good, and then they go buy the book. And so one of the best ways to make sure that your community grows is make it fucking awesome, right? Relative to what you charge, and people will continue to come. And Skool makes it easy. So the traffic was the first part of the 3 of the funnel. The second step in the funnel is the About page. And the point of Skool is to make making money and business fun and easy. And so nothing gets simpler than the About page. There's only 2 things that you can add to this. You've got media in terms of video or images, and then you've got words where you actually describe what's inside. My pro tip to you is just show people what's inside. The reason demonstrations work so well when you're selling face-to-face or in person is because people get to see the value of the thing before they make the purchase. And so just show them what's inside of the group, show them the value that you're creating. And since you have multiple ways to do it, you can also include testimonials, you can include images, you can include screenshots. Just show them a taste of what's inside that would get them interested. And in the bullets, you can add more color with language for people who prefer to read. Now, again, I wouldn't go big paragraphs here. Just list out the bullets of what you have inside. And so my recommendation here is state the facts and tell the truth. And if the truth isn't that compelling, then change what's inside until it is. And if you're still not sure and just want to get some ideas, look at some of the biggest groups on the platform. Look at their about pages, see what they've done, and you can model that to get started. Now, to be clear, don't copy someone else's stuff because that's going to be their group, not yours. But look at the structure. Look at the way that they set everything up. So you say, okay, so they started with a video, and then they have a testimonial video, and then they have a screenshot and something else. Okay, I can use that, right? Don't take their stuff, to be very clear. All right, and same thing goes with the text. If they talk about these are the experiences that people have, these are the features that are underneath, and these are the benefits that people who are inside the group get, then you can model that structure. And the third is what's inside of the community, but we already covered that in earlier videos. Let the games begin. And to be clear, these instructions are deliberately brief. And that's because we want to practice what we preach. Because if I came in here with some massive thing, one, many of you wouldn't even go through it. But the thing is if I'm telling you that you can crowdsource the answers, it would be kind of silly of me to not practice that. And so that is what we are doing deliberately with this. Because I would prefer that you learn by doing, not watching a zillion videos. Because that is where you will actually change your behavior. And so if you've consumed any of my content, you learn by changing behavior in a new condition. So if you've been in the same space for a very long period of time and you keep doing the same stuff, you have learned nothing. So if you watch these videos and then you decide to take action, you have already begun learning by taking action inside of school. And so one of the nice things with how we're organizing the games is that instead of the winners hoarding everything, the winners will share the lessons every single month. And so we'll be dropping the lessons and the recordings from the top 10 people who grow the most every month so you can know what's working right now. Because let's be honest, the tactics, the day-to-day things are always going to change. And so within the Skool Games, you're always going to have the most up-to-date stuff that's working right now. The only way to actually lose the games is to quit. And the best part is that because of the way that we're structuring the games, you have a new chance to win every single month. And so even if the first month you don't make money, but you get a couple people in your community, awesome. And the next month you get a few more people in and you watch the recordings from some of the winners. And then you keep implementing. Maybe it's your third month or your fourth month. And then by your fifth month, you're like, I think I can win this month. And then you win. Because business is a game of endurance. It's not a sprint. You don't win at business. The point of business is to keep the business going. It's to stay in business. And we're organizing the Skool Games to that end. In the spirit of this video, let the games begin. Listen, if you don't believe me, think about it like this. If we get 1 out of 2 paid communities to make money, most people don't have organic audiences. So we had to figure it out or no one would stay on Skool, but we have. And that's why we have tens of thousands of groups on Skool right now. And as much as I'd like to think people love me, people stay because they make money. And we'll show you exactly how they did it. And also, just to make sure you don't get stuck on any step, I answer questions every single week. I hop on calls. And so if you want to hop on there live, we usually have 200 or 300 people who hop on those calls. So it's not huge. And so now's the best time to get started. So if that sounds at all interesting, the best part is you can start a community of your own absolutely free. Worst case, start for free, you decide to quit, and then you can take all the training that other people charge thousands of dollars for with you for free. Again, that's the worst case. Best case, you take a zero risk move and build an online business that could change your life forever. And to be clear, I'm not asking you to decide yes or no today. I'm asking you to make an informed decision. That's it. And the only way you can do that is on the inside, not on the outside. So get inside and see if everything that we say is true and valuable to you. Then if it is, in 2 weeks is when you can actually decide for real. And if you get in and decide it's not for you, no sweat. But you can't truly make an informed decision right now for the same reason you don't buy a house without looking inside of it first, or test drive a car before buying it. So this is a guaranteed risk-free test drive. And listen, whether it's 13 minutes or 13 days from now, if you decide that it's not for you for any reason whatsoever, all you have to do is go to your profile and click cancel. That's it, one click. And the only reason you can make an offer that strong is because you're confident that what you have is the real deal. And I'm fairly confident that when you sign up by hitting the button below, you're getting exactly what you need to start your online business. So you might as well give it a shot. The only other guarantee is that if you don't take this shot, you'll stay right where you are right now. But if you take action, you could be the next one coming out to Vegas celebrating how quickly you built an online business with consistent monthly recurring revenue and driving away in a Cybertruck or with 100 grand in cash in your pocket. Pretty neat. So click the button below, join us in the Skool Games. I take calls every Monday. Hop on and be sure to let me know you're new. I'll see you on the other side.